Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, I'm just going to get the cards ready. I'm doing a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers. Also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You're probably an empath and you're probably needing messages from your soul. Okay? So, how's everyone doing? It's a mood today, isn't it? It is a mood today, isn't it? There is just so much on my mind. Oh my goodness. It's not necessarily a bad mood, it's just intense. It's super intense, and all of this energy that's been being shifted for the past few days. I was thinking last night, everything's been getting so intense, interactions with other people that I'm the few that I'm seeing, because I haven't really been on social media much. It's intense. It's intense. Oh my goodness. Wow. And I was thinking last night how um I did say the other day they were going to escalate the frequencies. You know what I mean? They're going to escalate the frequencies. And those of us who are sensitive to frequency, we might get more hyperstimulated in the amygdala region. That's like aggression and stuff. I totally ranted last night. I totally ranted last night. I'm just so tired of the world being the way it is. And it's like Pisces and empaths. What do we do? What do we do? How are we going to rectify whatever this is that's going on in our lives, in the world? How do we rectify things at this point? How do we reestablish that sense of balance that we are craving? How do we I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. And I'm really hoping that this reading it'll help all of us, any who come to this video, kind of get a better sense of what exactly needs to happen and possibly like how we're going to go about doing that. You know, many of us don't know how to proceed, many of us feel lost. uh, I don't know. I don't have definitive answers the way like excuse me the way I would like to have. It's very uncomfortable for me. Okay. So let me be surprised by the cards, just like y'all. Protection. Okay. So first, this reading's for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers. Also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You probably an empath, and you're probably needing messages from your soul. Okay. So protection. This is kind of like a two-sided message. One is that you are protected, obviously. That is that's kind of like a given. Okay. You are very protected in what you do. Um, there might be certain things that happen that make you feel like you have to wonder if you're protected, the gravity of your protection, but you're protected. Okay. Secondly, Pisceans and empaths have a tendency to be the very people who need the most protecting because of their sensitivities, which is not a bad thing. But because of their sensitivities, they are more prone to be extremely and negatively impacted by witnessing situations that, I mean, some people might say, like, why are you tripping? It didn't even happen to you. For Piscean and for an empath, witnessing someone's pain is the same thing as it happening to you. And people don't understand this unless they're that type of person. You know what I mean? Unless they have that depth of empathy, not sympathy, they don't understand the struggle that a highly sensitive person feels. And that's why highly sensitive people are actually the true gift to humanity. That is such a powerful gift to be able to feel to the degree that you cannot tolerate injustice. You cannot tolerate all the horrible things that happen in this world. Now, I want to make very clear, I believe the world is still a good place. I believe there are still plenty of really good people who exist, who are alive, who are trying to create changes. Might be micro changes, but there's still attempts for change. The problem with the world is we have allowed too many of the bad seeds to cause us to feel unsafe, to cause us to retreat into areas and behavioral patterns of simple reactiveness. That's not always good. And just really not seeing where we are within our journey. This is the story of our life. We can see clearly, but we can't see at all. Ooh, all at the same time. Wow. We can see clearly, but we can't see at all. Well, we can see clearly through our blindness. Ooh. Do you feel like you've been blinded by your life? Do you feel like you've been blindsided? There's so much more to seeing than just with the eyes and just with visuals. So I teach classes on how to work energy, right? One of the things that many of the participants struggle with is scanning their own field. They're like, I can't see, Emmie. I can't see. Well, here's the thing. Do you feel? Do you sense? Is there an emotion? Is there a thought? There's so much more to just a visual. Not all of us are visual learners. You have to learn and receive the information for your life, your guidance, in the way you actually communicate. Some of us are touchy. We need actual physical touch. Some of us are audible. We listen, we hear. We hear the changes in the nuances of the way you speak, the words you choose. That tiny little pause gives us a huge window to see into you, your heart, your struggle. We need to begin becoming more dynamic once again. Banishment. See, protection, banishment. Whatever is not meant for you will not be allowed to stay, whether you want it, whether you don't. It will eventually be phased out. Phase it out. Make it a conscious decision to phase it out. That is something you can consciously decide. It truly is. It truly, truly, truly is. For example, Pisceans and empaths oftentimes are the recipient of unwanted attention. It's true. We tend to be the people that other people think they're entitled to. You need to give me more time. You need to give me more attention. No, what? You need me to do that for you too? No, that's not how it works. You're a Piscean or an empath. You're supposed to just give to me. That's a lot of people's logic. Not everyone's, but a lot of people's logic, right? And so you do, because you don't want them to feel bad. And then what happens? They end up thinking they're entitled to it. They end up thinking they're entitled to it. So what does that mean? Well, you continued to feed that toxic plant. You watered it, you nurtured it, you kept giving it fertilizer. And then it sprouted, and then it became full size, and then it released its seeds, and now your entire garden is full of this toxic plant. And you don't know how it happened. You do know how it happened. You do. You have to hold yourself accountable. This is not about blame. Blame is so toxic. It really truly is. Blame is so toxic and so unnecessary. Accountability is what we need. Accountability is what is powerful, what empowers you. But Emmie, they're the same thing. No, they're not. No, they're not. Blaming is this logic of someone did this to me. It's their fault. Um, when you see a train coming and you're standing on the tracks and the train is blowing its horn and blowing its horn, is it really the train's fault that it didn't stop in time to not hit you on the track? As empaths, as Pisceans, we can feel when things are headed our way. We can feel the railroad tracks shaking, vibrating. We can feel it. Many of us can see it. Many of us can hear it. If you are complicit in these things that happen, meaning you don't do anything to stop it, you just allow it to continue, you are complicit. When you begin taking accountability for your complicity, then you begin to understand, okay, if I can choose this that leads to that ugly thing, then I can choose this that takes me away from that ugly thing and towards a beautiful thing. Which should I choose? And this has a lot to do about thinking, feeling, believing. You don't have any options. You do. I promise you, you do. The people who don't want to walk away, the people who need you to continue to allow them to take advantage of you, are the people who don't want you to see you have options. You always have options. You literally always have options. When I allow myself to get riled up and interact with someone like in an argumentative manner, when I allow myself to be reactive like that, um, yes, this person triggered me. And yes, I am absolutely responsible for making that decision to keep going. Knee jerk reactions are knee jerk reactions. But the moment you realize what's happening, you are now accountable. You are now accountable. If you hold yourself accountable, you can easily. Whoa, okay, hold up. Let me just let me just quiet down. Let me just allow myself to recenter and realize, am I trying to communicate something or am I just in this like pissing match where I'm trying to prove to you that I can be more of this than you can? Why would you ever? I'm asking myself this question as well. Why would you ever want to prove that you can be a more horrible person than a horrible person? That you can be more hurtful than a hurtful person? I'm so guilty of this as well. There are times my patience runs out for humanity at large. Like I'm done being so hyper aware of the ways in which we fail each other. And I fall for that. I fall for that triggering and I allow myself to be reactive. And, we can't always be perfect. We can't always be perfectly um cognitive of our articulation of things, and that's unrealistic. So it's not the goal to hold ourselves to some unrealistic, unfair standard where we can't ever just have a bad day and just speak truth even though it's ugly, just like say it, be done with it. You can. That's fair. To expect to not hold yourself to that degree of perfection is fair. It's gentle. It's self-love. But you still have to hold yourself accountable for that. Last night, I was on like a 4 something hour live stream. And I really just let myself release all of these things that I don't allow myself to talk about in normal live streams because it's just, they're difficult topics. They're my opinions. They can be very triggering. These are things that are hard to listen to. They create fear, necessary fear, to make you understand the different options that are presented to you, what keeps you safe, like all of these different topics. And I really went into things last night. And before that live stream was even done, I knew, although I did not lie in any part of that live stream, I actually spoke truth as I understand it to be. But do you guys deserve that? Do you guys need that? Do I have to hold myself accountable and like, you know what? Unnecessary. Okay. Unnecessary. Yes, you spoke truth. But does it create um, a benefit for the greater good of everyone? Because if it doesn't, what are you doing? Venting? Okay, that's okay. It's okay to vent. You know, these people love you. They allow you the space to vent, but you're venting. Is it venomous? Is it venomous? Does it create more fear in the people who do love you, who do support you, who hold this space? I once told someone very dear to me, um, they were going through things, and it's this thing of like, when someone is a sanctuary for your human heart, you don't go shitting in your sanctuary. Don't create a dumping ground in that sanctuary. I have to hold myself accountable. I have to. I have to hold myself accountable, and I have to not do things just because I'm made to feel like it's okay to be myself. That was toxic. I need to hold myself accountable for my venting, my toxicity. Hold myself accountable and take it down. Just hold myself accountable and take it down. Take the video down. Let everyone know, you know what? I'm going to be taking this video down. There were nuggets of truth. There was a lot of information that could be beneficial to whoever wanted that type of information. But the general gist of it, in my heart, I felt the toxicity. And with the way that I love, just because you create a sanctuary for me does not make it okay for me to use that sanctuary as my dumping ground. It's not okay. It's not okay. So we need to begin having this type of mindset and logic when it comes to people entering into our sanctuary, a space that we hold for ourselves and for others, so we can find some rest, some safety, some sense of like peace. Um, we have to make sure we cultivate a space and set boundaries and rules of like, no, you cannot litter in in the sanctuary. There's no littering here. None. There's no littering here. And it's not that we can't ever vent to each other. It's not that we can't or shouldn't express ourselves in our truth. That we have to be mindful of how that expression affects other people. For days now, I've been feeling my own toxicity escalating, escalating, and escalating. Ah, the world disappoints me. Mm. Just disappoints me. But it's not something to be hated. It's not something to be vilified. The world is in its process of learning and growing. It's in its process of learning and growing, and we can't hold people who don't know any better yet accountable for things that they don't know or don't understand. And just because it seems like someone knows does not mean they actually understand. There's a difference between understanding and simply being aware of a subject matter. Like, I'm aware of calculus. I don't understand it. I'm aware of statistics. I don't understand it. I'm aware of all sorts of different medications, the synthesis of it. I don't understand it. I'm aware of astrology. I don't understand it. Can you hold me accountable? Because I don't know what cycle the moon is in, what phase, what planetary stuff, solar stuff. I feel these things. I feel these things, and it's like there's something going on. I don't know what it is. I don't know that I want to know. Has something to do with something up there, and it just I anxiety. And maybe I'm not at a place where having full knowledge of astrological things, celestial events is beneficial to me. I'm an overthinker. I overthink everything. I can take one simple situation and see it from so many different angles. Like last night I was sharing about boondocking in the event of, not so good societal events. And it's just like I see it from every angle. You're coming to my campsite for what? Why would you come to my campsite? For what? Most people won't see it like that. Most people will think that, okay, something happens in the city, I'm going to go to the countryside. I'm over here thinking, city, you know where to go. You know which street to turn on to escape whatever. Wilderness, you don't know where you are. You don't know if 1 or 2 clicks away, there's another base camp that's hostile. You don't know this. You don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, I overthink everything. So if I were to go into astrology, like, oh my God, what would happen to my brain? Do I need that? Or would I use that to my detriment? And that's something you have to ask yourself. The story of our life is that sometimes we will cultivate our gifts and we will use it to our detriment. For some of us, we will cultivate our ability to be loved, drawn, to draw people to us, this magnetism. And we'll continue to draw the most fractured individuals. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a wrong thing. It's you got to question what your intention is thing. Are you trying to make projects out of people so that you'll be so busy healing them that you won't have time to heal yourself? See what I mean? Cultivating skills and gifts to our detriment. These are things we have to really, really hold ourselves accountable for. Like, you have to allow yourself to grow in a way that's safe. You have to allow yourself to be in an environment that's safe. But are you using that environment that's safe to hide from the things you fear? And is your fear doing nothing but bringing your attention to the things that actually need your attention? All the growth you covet is on the other side of fear. You can push through that fear. You can get to the other end of it. The place where all these things you're looking for exist. Everything in my life has shown me what I want is always on the other side of that fear. Whatever I fear, whatever I'm most afraid of is the very thing I need to face head on. Doesn't mean I'm not afraid when I face it. It doesn't mean I don't have anxiety as I take every step closer to that thing I fear the most. I was going through this one thing recently. I'm kind of frustrated with myself. I didn't do anything wrong per se. I just allowed my fear to get the best of me. I was going through this legal thing. I kind of shared some of it. Um, like looking back at it, even the lawyer was like, you totally should just do all of this. You should write the letter. You should, this and that. And I convinced myself that I'm incapable of doing something like that. Sorry, guys. I convinced myself that I'm incapable of doing something like that. And obviously, she's a really good person, really good legal advice. And she's like, okay, well, I mean, if you're willing to pay my rates, I'll assist you. You know what ended up happening? I was the one who uncovered the civil codes that I could use to protect myself. Not only did I protect myself during that, I ensured by use of that civil code, I would be protected after that. In addition to that, I was the one that was able to see that my civil rights were about to be violated by the agreement that was trying to be forced upon me. And I had to pay a ridiculous amount of money for this because why? Because I was insecure and I didn't believe in myself. That was the cost for me to feel secure enough to follow through with something that created so much tension in me, so much anxiety, so much anxiety, so much fear, so much sense of internal destruction and devastation. I took care of that entire case. That was me. Those are my choices. I found the options and I selected them. And I promise you, my lawyer was like, how the because I was finding civil code and I was like, does this apply to me? What are the ramifications of this option? Does this protect me from further? Is that an option? What are the possible ramifications if I choose that option? How about this one? That one? Okay, we're going with that. And I convinced myself. I mean, she was already convinced, like, I mean, I don't know why you're hiring me for this because I'm insecure. I was having an insecurity. Yeah, it's ridiculously expensive of a price that I had to pay for the insecurity, but I needed to make sure, I needed to know because that had the potentiality of just being ridiculously messy. Ridiculously messy. So, what's my point sharing this? I still did it even though I was afraid. This is how I handle every part of my life. Overthinking, overthinking, overthinking. But I still get it done. I see it from every angle and I still get it done. I select the opportunity and potentialities and options that take me down the path that I select. It's still scary, but I solve every problem in my life in this way by facing it head on. Not everything needs a solution, though. Sometimes things simply need to be moved on from. Your perception of yourself, sometimes situations with other people. Sometimes we need to just move on, not fix things, not heal things, but just understand this is what it is. You cannot make a toxic plant non-toxic. You can't. When a plant is toxic, that's what it is. You just can't. You can't turn a watermelon into a zucchini. If you feed it zucchini food, no. They are different species. You cannot turn a peony into a rose or a rose into peonies. They're different species. Identify what's in front of you by looking at its leaves, assessing if there's thorns, looking it up, trying to understand how the different components will help you to identify what is in front of you. This doesn't just apply to plants. Here's this thing. Leaves of 3, leave them be, right? I found oftentimes the most toxic people come in groups of 3. When someone comes to me and they have 2 besties, and so there's 3 of them, and one of the besties starts talking shit about I'm good. I'm fucking good. The other 2 are gonna chime in at some point. They talk shit about each other too. I'm good. Like, y'all got that on your own. I'm good. Imma just, like, leave. Imma just leave. It's okay. No, thank you. I don't need friends. I'm actually a loner. I've also experienced when two people need that third. I don't know. I don't know. That might leave them be. It might just give you a rash. It might actually poison you. You don't really know. Allow people to give you a good look at all of the different components. Begin assessing, is this really toxic? Is this something where I'm just averse to connectivity with people? And because I'm afraid to connect, I'm projecting my toxicity. Is this toxicity my own? Does it come from within me? These are questions you have to ask. You have to come home to yourself. You have to allow yourself to see clearly who you are. The best type of reflective surface has darkness behind it. Mhm. The best part of reflective surface, the best type of a reflective surface has a darkness behind it. The surface of dark water, especially if it's still, perfect mirror. Perfect mirror. Allow yourself to look into your shadow and finally truly see who you actually are, who you have grown to be up to this point. Don't be scared of what you find. Just because you ignore what's there doesn't mean it's not there. Just because you're aware of what's there doesn't mean you suddenly change it to something you were. I mean, change out of something you were before you found out. You know, it's like for much of my life, I didn't want to look into my shadow aspects because it's scary. I sense a darkness there and a depth there that is like all consuming and scary to me. And when I realized what was in the dark depths of my soul, because darkness does not mean equal. Oh, it does not mean um, evil. It's not equal to evil. Okay. It's just darkness. It's a differing polarity on that plane of light. Darkness. It's a different polarity, but it still exists on that plane of light. So when I went through the process, because of several different things that were really, really difficult for me during that period, did I suddenly become a different person when I realized I have the ability to do parasitic extractions? No, that's always been there. All that happened was a point of realization that allowed me to empower myself in my process of retrieving, recovering parts of my truth that already existed. But I allowed my fear to cripple me in my processing of my life and my experiences. I allowed my fear to cripple me. And then years later, I had someone that I at one point trusted, implicitly trusted, um, go around and basically undermine me intentionally. Why did that sting so much? Because they used my still existent fear of, if people know that I can do these things, they might think I'm evil, they might think I'm demonic, you know? Use that. Told people that behind my back, that I was fear mongering and parasites don't really exist. And that was such a massive fear for me up to that point. And do I need to be hateful towards this person? I mean, I still think that person is a weak bitch. That's my opinion based on the observation of their actions. But do I need to be hateful? Because opinions are not necessarily hateful. They're not necessarily hateful. I'm not hateful. To date, I haven't done anything to retaliate. No, I haven't done anything. I'm not a hateful person. I can have opinions that are based in my observation of your behaviors, your behavioral patterns. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want me to have these perceptions, opinions of you, you shouldn't behave in that way and allow me to witness it. But see, if you're not going to allow me to witness who you are, you're only going to act a certain way around me. I mean, doesn't that make you a horrible person? Isn't that manipulative? To only act in a certain way so that you can ensure that I only see you in the way you allow me to see you. That's emotional manipulation. That's just as bad as lying. It's just more covert. And is that something that we do? Do we only allow people to see us in a specific way because we want to cultivate a specific appearance? We want people to see us as though we are so evolved that we've done the work, we've this, we've that, we're intelligent, spiritual, all of these different labels. And we never actually truly show them who we are. Because, I mean, didn't I just say that's like a covert lie? That's a covert lie. Well, I mean, no, I didn't say a lie. No, but you behaved a lie. You lived a lie. When you try and present yourself as someone who's just super sweet all the time, but in reality, behind closed doors, you're talking caca about everybody. That's a lie. I've known people like that, where publicly they're so supportive, so nice, like, so, oh my God, so charismatic. Privately, like, you need some toilet paper for that mouth. You've been talking so much shit for the whole effing day. You want some toilet paper? You got shit dribbling down your chin, boo. And then they wonder how come Emmie hasn't been in the chat all day. Because you've been talking shit about all the people you love all day. I can't be around that. I'm highly, highly sensitive to my environment. And if there's people like that in my environment, I take in that kind of behavior. I start to act that way. I'm highly cognitive of this. I am aware, and therefore, because of my awareness, I have to consciously choose to not be around that. I have to choose to not be around that. It's ugly. I don't want to be like that. I'm absolutely capable of pettiness. Hello? Capricorn moon. Hello. Yeah, I can take pettiness to a whole nother level. That exists for a reason. Do I have to vilify that about me? No. I just have to be aware of it and cultivate it, make sure it's not out of control, hold myself accountable, have some self awareness. You're not being asked to be perfect. You're being asked to recognize you are perfect as you are. You just need to work to balance these things that already exist with you, within you. Everything in your life that you have experienced is preparing you for the next part of your life. And maybe that next part of your life has more to do with stepping into this profound role that you're supposed to play, this service that you're supposed to do for humanity, for people, for, people in your local environment. Maybe it's just one person. Maybe it's just a child. Maybe it's just your neighbor. Who knows? Just live, be you, knowing that your existence as yourself is the gift. Your presence in someone's life is the present. It is the gift. I have been so ridiculously blessed by all of you guys, like so constantly, so regularly, being so generous with the sharing of your perceptions of me in such a positive way. It has really helped me to blossom. It really, truly has. Your presence here is a gift to me. And based on what so many people tell me on such a regular basis, me just existing, this is my norm. This is my norm. I think like this in my head all day about anything and everything I can think of. Literally all day, all day. That's why most of the day I don't talk outside of live streams and sessions. Most of the day I kind of just am quiet. Unless I'm spoken to, I'm kind of just quiet. But this is my norm. Those opposing polarities are both my norm. They're both my neutral, my baseline. And I have had enough people tell me, like, the things that I say, the way that I see, all of these different things are profound to them. And I'm just like, but that's my norm. Like, I'm not even trying to impress people. I'm just kind of sharing my perceptions that apparently are very different from most other people. And at one point, I was scared. I was really, really scared of how people will receive how differently I see the world. And now I'm kind of just like, oh, okay. All you needed was for me to be me. Oh, I don't need to make notes and create some sort of lesson plan when I'm live streaming. And oh, you just needed me to show up. Gotcha. That takes no effort. That takes no effort. I'm just verbalizing what's going on internally. And maybe it's time to recognize that's all people really need from you. They just need you to be present, not withhold these verbal nuggets of knowledge. And I've heard plenty of people say that I'm smart. In my yeah, I'm a problem solver. I've said I'm smart in live streams before because Michael tells me it's time I claim that. My perception, I mean, I'm just really good at problem solving. I like puzzles as a kid. I seek knowledge. Just, because I like it. I like it, And it's this thing of like, that's my norm. That's my norm. I don't understand what's profound about it. I don't understand what's profound about my energetic system. And oh my God, the validation I received by doing the very thing that I feared the most, creating a certification program. I was so afraid to do that for so many years. I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was like, no, I can't. I can't. I can't. And then I finally did it. Oh my God. All my students far exceeded even my unrealistic, unfair expectations of what they would do, how they would receive this information, and how they could apply it. I was so afraid for so many years because I was holding myself accountable for any potential mess ups on their part. Is that my job to take responsibility for you and your choices? No. No. And when I got over myself with that fear and understood, listen, this is a very complex system. Anyone who's going to hurt someone with this, they won't be able to. The pathways are different to hurt people. So, what am I afraid of? And then I realized part of that fear had to do with this fear of not being enough. Like if I teach my system, then the people who are present during the program will understand that I am probably just faking this system. It's like a BS system. And the exact opposite happened. As I validated them and their skills, their gifts, their power, their ability, witnessing the blossoming of my students validated me. It validated my work. Like, they're badass. They're badass. They're badass. And so the one thing that I feared the most, story of my life, became the one thing that empowered me to the degree that I needed to be empowered. And what does that empowerment do for me? It creates peace. I can let go of that fear now. It creates peace. That's it. I think people have this misconstrued perception of what self empowerment actually is. Self empowerment is the tool, the impetus for the establishment of internal peace. When you feel powerful, you don't get bothered by things as much. You just don't. You don't get bothered by these things. Oh. Thank you, Ocean Lover. Okay, here goes. Masculine. So we have this guy popping up again. Curious to see how his role in, oh my God, he looks like someone I know. How did I never notice that? Let me just drink. We'll see how this guy plays into the reading, okay? Dedication, autumn. Allow yourself to use this autumn and this winter time to really dedicate to your understanding of yourself. There's nothing you need to develop outside of your understanding of yourself. There's nothing you need to develop. There's nothing you need to fix or heal or any of that. You can't do any of that until you first understand where you are exactly within your auric field. That's one of the things that I highly emphasize as I teach my classes. Oh, for those who had messaged previously and you are waiting for the second cycle of my level 1 Kokoro 33 certification program, I've finally made that available in case you were still waiting. Yeah, so that's available. I'm going to start another round of teaching people so that they can work on their clients and they can also use it to just work on themselves and their family. So let's see how this plays out. One of the things that I really, really emphasize as I'm teaching my students is the importance of understanding what the situation actually is. And what I tell them is that you can master all of the techniques, you can master all of the concepts, but if you don't know what's going on, how are you going to know exactly which technique and which concept properly applies to the situation at hand? Oh, a cat hair. You have to know what you're dealing with before you're able to actually do something about it. If you look in the terms of medicine, medical things, if there's an issue with high blood pressure, why would you give antibiotics? I'll tell you why. Because if you understand that sometimes when you experience sepsis, which is an infection, a very serious blood infection, systemic infection, sometimes it'll affect the blood pressure. Didn't realize that, huh? Patients' kidneys are shutting down. Well, okay, renal failure. They have kidney disease. No, sepsis does that as well. It can shut down your organs. One by one, your organ systems will fail. Your blood pressure will dip and dip and dip. Oh, not high blood pressure, low blood pressure. It'll dip and dip and dip. And if you don't understand all of these different components and how they fit together within your life, those are different systems. Circulatory system is different from the kidneys. Those are different systems, but you're a whole being. What that means is if your blood is not circulating properly, the kidneys must remain profuse with blood. If your blood pressure dips too low, the kidneys will not have enough blood. They'll have blood in them, but they won't have enough. They'll shut down. That's acute kidney failure. You're a whole being. Everything in this world is trying to teach you how separate you are, not just separate from other people, but separated into systems within yourself. And that's just a lie. That's a lie. All of your systems work together synergistically. They work together. You are a whole being. Even your emotions will affect your organs. You have lung issues, you're probably suppressing quite a bit. Emotion wise, you're suppressing quite a bit. You're not allowing yourself to process. That tends to affect the lungs. Medically speaking, you can ask homeopathic, holistic, naturopathic practitioners. Skilled ones will know. If you use steroids to suppress an immune response, whether it's allergic, like a histamine-based response, or something else, eventually that will enter into the lungs and you'll develop lung issues like asthma. It's all interconnected. Everything is interconnected. Everything. You talk badly to yourself all day about yourself. You can't give yourself the kind of compassion and patience that you give to so many other people freely without them asking. You know what happens? You develop an autoimmune condition. There's research that is being conducted, that has been conducted and is continuing to be conducted, because there is a hypothesis that exists that women who have lupus, because lupus primarily affects women, are oftentimes women who have been hurt and harmed emotionally, mentally, physically, all the different ways. It's all tied. These are the women who blame themselves for the bad things other people have done to them. Yeah. Yeah. Let that sink in. Do you have knee problems? That's oftentimes due to a feeling of lack of support. You haven't been loving yourself enough. It's a misalignment between the feet, the hips, and the spine. You're not carrying the load accurately. You have back problems? You injured your low back? That's connected to the psoas muscle. That muscle is the spiritual bridge between the upper and lower halves, your spiritual and earthly self. Your connection is faltering. It's not evidence of your weakness. It's a plea from your soul to please take care of yourself, reconnect with your divinity. This is the story of our lives, you guys. You don't have to be able to see. You don't have to have had any formal training of anything. You don't have to know any of the concepts or have watched me for any length of period in order to take my program. As a matter of fact, it actually benefits you when you have no other experience from anything else. It actually benefits you. It makes it a lot easier. A lot easier. And most of the people, when they take my program, and they begin hearing these concepts, they're applied biospiritual theories, right? My system is an applied biospiritual theory. Most people are like, oh my God, that's why this and that's why that. And I knew it. You did. You knew it. You just didn't have the terms. You didn't have the terms, and that's why you couldn't piece it all together to make sense for yourself. So should I still be ashamed for being a nerd? My brother sometimes teases me. It's all in love though. He's like, it's so beneficial to have a nerd in your life because I know so much shit. I know so much. And it's not like, oh, I know everything. No, it's like, well, okay, a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit. Okay. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Part of the reason we've been able to keep him alive, and more than just alive, but actually in the process of healing heart tissue. You don't heal heart tissue. Ask anyone who knows anything about medical. You don't heal heart tissue. That never regenerates. You don't get back what you lost. You simply preserve what you have for as long as you possibly can with a knowing it will continue to decline till the point where part of the reason we've been able to affect his healing in the way we have. If it's not me, it's my son. We both understand. We both understand the gravity of how certain systems work with each other. We can draw from multiple modalities, multiple schools of thought. My system, it's like bringing together so many different types of specialties. So many different types of specialties. I don't even know how to begin to classify or quantify what it is. And people think it's the same thing as some of the other things that are around, and I promise you it's not. I may use some of the same terms as those who are familiar with Kelantic science and Kathara, but I promise you it's not that. At one point, about 2 years ago, I want to say, um, Kathara groups found my channel. They heard me talking to Michael. It was shared on their group, Facebook group. And then everyone started talking mad caca. You're scared of Michael? I mean, yeah, you should be because he's dark. But you're not getting the full story about Michaela over here. What? And that I'm evil because I'm getting my power from Michael? Or he don't give me power. Are you kidding me? These are gifts I was born with. I don't go through him or ask him or no. These are my gifts. This is my purpose. And then someone had made this comment, this question of, oh, is Ashiana aware that she's using these to? I may use the same terms, but tell me where in Ashiana's teachings, lectures, public speaking work, where she talks about the processes that I use. In fact, tell me how I do these things. What pathways? What star seals? What meridians? Which luminous bodies? Oh, you can't tell me? Right, because it's not that. It is my own. This is my gift to me. And in my cultivation of my gifts for me, there's no reason humanity can't also benefit. And these are things for you guys, when you have gifts, that you are cultivating, don't let people pressure you or bully you into thinking you have to give something you're not comfortable giving. Because you don't. You really, really don't. You don't. Right, Karen? That's stupid. Everyone knows what everyone else should be doing. Yawn. So, beyond the mind, the heart beats. Allowing yourself to go beyond your simple human mind. And, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. The human mind is simple, though. There's no other way to put it. It exists with this concept of linear. Most people, not you guys, but most people don't understand me because although they're trying so hard to understand in a linear manner something that is a quantum anomaly, in a multi-dimensional space. I do not exist in a linear manner. I just don't. I was an adult as an infant, and as an adult, I'm infantile sometimes. It's true. It's very true. I was always very serious, very quiet, very, very, very controlled. Everything has its proper place. You put things in the cupboard, it better be in the right place with a label facing forward, perfectly spaced. Do I need to be like that? That was me wilding out within myself, not realizing I was wilding out. My inner child needed to be released. I needed to live and be present and have fun and smile and enjoy life. I used to have minimal appreciation for my husband's personality because he's a Gemini. And if we're out, he's totally like the life of the party. He's like loud, he's fun. He's fun, is what I'm trying to say. He's fun. And that was difficult for me to be around because it's like you're bringing too much attention to us. Like, can you just, sit quietly, like be an adult about this? And he don't care. He doesn't care what the request is. He's like, why are you like that? And now I realize, now we both loud. We both loud. We're both fun. All our kids are too. And it's like when our family arrives, the party starts. When our family leaves, oh my God, the deafening silence. People feel alive hanging out with us. It's fun. And it took me most of my life to understand. It's okay for me to be fun. It's okay for me to allow more of my personality to come out. I don't always have to be controlled. I don't always have to be soft spoken. Sometimes it's appropriate for me to just kind of have verbal diarrhea, you know, right? And let some of that out to vent, but also to hold myself accountable. He did. He brought me out, the real me. The me that the world deserves to see. He brought that out, not by telling me, not by criticizing me, not by arguing with me, but by just allowing me to be myself and go through my own process that took many, many years, and appreciating and celebrating me every step of the way. Every step of the way. There's just something so powerful about the kind of love that allows you to just be yourself with no apologies. Yeah. I used to think I was just crazy. To be able to see things, know things, have this level of precognitive ability, I used to think I was crazy. I used to think I was full of shit. Until one day I was instructed to do a spiritual pilgrimage, and I didn't realize that's what it was at the time. And I was instructed to find a location I have never been to before. My entire life, I have never been there before. I did not realize I was bilocating and remote viewing. And I was just shown this very specific image, not knowing where it is. And I described it to him in detail. And then I was instructed to leave my home. For the first time, we left our house in fear. And we wandered. Within 24 hours, I found the location. A location I'd never been to before. Exactly as I described it. As we stood on that lookout and we both looked at it and saw it together for the first time. That was scary. For me, it was scary. It was very, very scary. Because the implication of that. It was scary. So here I'm existing as a testament to what I say. I live what I say, and what I say is what I live. If one of the mods would please remove that person. I don't do that kind of stuff here. This is not a pity party place. So if one of the mods could please remove that person. Thank you. Please completely ban them. I don't believe that they are honest or have integrity in what they're writing. I feel that's a troll. So when I saw this visual, it became this thing of like full on breakdown, tears, because of the fact that it validated everything. And one of the most powerful things my husband said to me as I was sobbing, "You're not crazy. Like, I don't understand it, but you're not crazy. Like, this is exactly what you said. You described it." To be able to experience things with other people who can hold the space for you where you can just be who you are, question yourself without risk of them using that vulnerability against you. Mm. You're in the world, you're not of the world. You're in this world, you are not of this world. It's still okay for you to be a very human being while you are in this life. If you are needing to be alien, if you are needing to be a hybrid, if you are needing to be a demigod, if you are needing to be all these other things that people often claim um, or identify as, then that's what you would be. You wouldn't take a human form. It's okay for you to have an awareness of some of the different existences you've had, but do you need to identify as that in this lifetime? I'm aware I've been filtered through Arcturus. I'm aware I'm a hybridized soul. I'm aware I'm part of the founders. I'm aware of all these different things. I'm a human being having a human experience with access to knowledge of souls so advanced. Does that mean I'm better? Well, if you're going to finish that sentence, that question with, does that mean I'm better able to serve? Yes. Truth. 100% accurate. I'm better able to serve. Now, if you're asking me, does this knowledge and access to these informations and truths mean I'm better than you? No, it's not a competition or comparison. Everything that I go through that further develops me and my skill is something I have to go through to be able to reach higher levels of service to myself and humanity. And that's that. That's that. So for those who are like, I'm a Blu-ray. Okay, Blu-ray is part of the cleanup crew. You're not the headliner of the show. You're here as a cleanup crew. I'm Blu-ray too. Yeah, no, you're not going to be on the stage. You're not the performer. You're not even the opening act. You are part of the cleanup crew. Deflated a lot of people's. Michael's laughing. I'm part of the cleanup crew. What's wrong with that? We get first row seats for every major event in humanity's history. What's wrong with part of the cleanup crew? We never miss an amazing show. What's wrong with being part? Oh, well, because for some, it's being used as this badge of honor and evidence of your superiority. And that's just not, it's not. It's not. It's an honor to be part of the cleanup crew. To know that my soul is so heavily skilled in so many different things, modalities, um, skilled, like just all these different things. not just anybody can be part of the cleanup crew. This is a heavily bonded team. It's a heavily bonded team of souls. They always find each other in every lifetime. They incarnate together. It's a soul family. It's a cloister. Still part of the cleanup crew. We the cleanup crew. That's okay. There's nothing like, it doesn't make you less than, but just know your place and play your role. Don't start acting like you're the headliner when you're not even on the stage, not even an opening act. You're here as the cleanup crew. Yep. Yes, moon rock. To be able to clean up the way for others to have a clear path is an honor. Yes. Yes. That right there. That right there. To know that I was created so you could count on me. That gives you a sense of purpose that other people can't tear down. You don't need to stop being so loving. You don't need to stop being a giver. You need to start using discernment and accepting the fact that not everyone deserves that from you. Not everyone is willing to receive that from you. Not everyone is capable of receiving it and knowing what to do. Most people receive that and think, here's an easy one to victimize. Mm-mm. So there's this guy. Let me see if I can find his video. There's this guy on TikTok. I love his profile. I do. I love his profile. And he does a lot of videos that I was just watching. Hold on. I got to get his profile name so you guys can go watch him. He does videos on animals and I just love his content. He's talked about orcas several times. Here, this guy. M as in Mary, as N as in Nancy, D as in David, I as in igloo, A as in apple, Y as in yes, E as in Edward _97. He talks about killer whales sometimes. Here's the thing. The cleanup crew were like the killer whales. I don't want to be a killer whale. They're dicks. They fuck with other animals. They play with their food. They do dickish things. He calls them murder dolphins. People think like killer whales are, oh no, they fuck with other things. They're like the bullies of the ocean. The only other thing that really they can't fuck with and kind of flexes back is a full-grown, not baleen, humpback whale. Dolphins are dicks too sometimes. I've seen videos of like this woman was in that like dolphin experiencing in the ocean and the dolphin wrapped his schlong around her leg and dragged her underwater. She almost drowned, so it kind of is not funny. I mean, not even kind of. It's not funny, but at the same time, like dolphins are dicks too. I'm just saying. Yeah, me too. Me too. That's why you're my adopted son. My logic, if you're going to be a dick, be the biggest one in the room. I'm just, maybe that was an inappropriate joke. Okay, card number 24. New birth guarded vigilantly. Okay. New birth guarded vigilantly, allowing yourself to grow in such a way that you can protect the places within you that you've just discovered or just rediscovered. These places that are vulnerable still. People think that just because you've grown, that you somehow um, are already super empowered. Just like when a plant first grows, um, you know, you can stomp out a seedling, it'll die. It'll probably die. If you give it time to get established, I mean, you can't exactly stomp out a tree. You're going to hurt yourself, you know? So you need to give yourself the time and the space to protect the areas that you're growing into. Okay. Yeah, you need to have the time and the space to protect that. You need to only allow the people who are capable and willing in that capability of properly handling it. I'm being given this analogy. My mom used to have dialysis and she had a fistula installed. That's like a subdermal implant that I don't know where it was. Oh, I think it's a 4. I don't remember. But it's a fistula. It's implanted under the skin and there's a membrane and it attaches to the veins so that they can insert the needles for dialysis. So it's like a track of needle marks, but her vein is basically protected. And whenever I would need to bring her to the hospital, when they're going to take vitals and stuff, even just vitals, blood pressure. No, she has a fistula, not to touch the entire arm. They're not allowed to touch that entire arm from blood draw to blood pressure, nothing. Only RNs who are trained that are allowed to access that arm, only under the direct orders of the attending doctor. Okay. So it's this thing of like, maybe that growth is like a medical procedure and only people who are properly trained, who have the proper experience to properly handle that, should be allowed to touch it. You're a very sacred being. You're very sacred. Allow yourself to start behaving and treating yourself as though you're sacred. Okay. Have you seen the video where a girl was sitting on the edge of a bridge with her feet in the ocean and a seal came out of nowhere and pulled her down? All these mammalians now we think are cute. I promise you they kill you if they could. There was this video that I saw of these guys. I don't know where they were. This like small group, they were sitting at some cafe, like outdoor area. It looked like an outdoor seating area. And in comes walking Pumbaa. It was a warthog or a wild boar. It's like walking and they're like, oh my God, look how sweet he looks. He's so cute. And it's just walking nonchalantly towards them. And the guy reaches his hand out and it attacked him. And then I look in the comments because I was dead at that. Like, somebody help me. Like he jumped on his seat. This thing jumped on his seat. I was like, you're screwed. And, everyone in the comments, I had to go to the comments and they're like, clearly he's not from Texas. Anyone from Texas knows, that's not going to end. That's not going to end nicely for you. And then these other videos that I've seen in the past where people have come across baby raccoons. And they're like, oh, I'm going to give them some, they're so cute. I'm going to give them some food. Yeah, and then it attacks you. The most recent video that just killed me. I ended up dropping my phone on my face This couple inside their house, they were recording how a baby squirrel somehow went down their chimney and was stuck in the fireplace. And he put on a latex glove to pick up the squirrel. So he grabs it by the body and it's kind of like limp noodle like this, like, and then he goes, "Oh, you cute little," and it bit him. And the screams, the screams of it. Like, "Oh, let me go. Oh my God." The best part, I don't know who was recording. If I remember right, you clearly see the wife take off running, left him to die from squirrel attack. I was like, that's not your Bonnie, Clyde. She's not your Bonnie. I'm over here like, my husband is my Clyde. I am his Bonnie. I got you, boo. I got you. No, she's not a Bonnie. She is not a ride or die. She is a Uber Lyft, birdie renter, whatever. She took off running. Oh, wow. Damn. A smile from a chipmunk is the opposite of a smile from a human. You are about to lose your face. Yeah, no, Disney got a lot of people messed up. I'm like, when we used to go camping quite a bit, sometimes squirrels would come run to me and people thought that was cute. Like, I'm not Snow White, first off. I'm not Snow White. I'm not Cinderella. They are not my friends. They are not my friends. So I will yell, I will stomp, not on the critter, but like we lock eyes. I know, oh my God, it's gonna come running towards me. That's the relationship I have with wild animals. The moment we lock eyes, damn, it's coming for me. It's coming for me. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't trust you. You're a stranger to me. I don't like the way you don't blink the way I do. I'm taking off running too. And because you run a little faster than me, I'm going to start throwing things at you. Rocks, twigs, whatever my little hands can pick up, I will throw them at you as I run. And I am not above using humans as shields. You think I'm joking? USD, you think I'm joking? I am so dead ass serious right now. I am so dead ass serious right now. Like, so I had, oh no, not the children. Not the children. I have limits. I have standards. I have limits, not the children. Um, not the children. But like, so I was hosting a retreat. We were at like an outdoor, I don't know what it was, an outdoor space. And, it was like a structure with shade. And I was just sitting on the bench all the way at the inside. I mean, granted, it's just like a retaining wall and it's open. There's no walls to it. But I was all the way on the inside. And then the roadrunner was right there. And there were so many people and it locked eyes with me. Oh, you best believe I stood on that bench. You best believe the person sitting beside me, I'm going to use you as a shield. It didn't lock eyes with you. And everyone thought it was funny. They're like, oh, no, I'm serious. It's trying to come to me. I already know. We locked eyes. Because it's like a little raptor and it's like, I was like, oh Oh my God. Okay? When you have a living raptor be like, their body turns. I watched Jurassic Park. I know what they can do. So I started screaming. And then I tried to use the person beside me kind of like as a semi-shield. And everyone's like, "No, you're fine." And they're like trying to protect me and stuff. And then it went around the outside of that pergola structure thingy. So as it was going around, they're like, "See, he's leaving." Oh no, I took off. I took off that way. And it went all the way around to where I was at. I didn't realize I ran off. I told you guys. I told you guys. Did I not tell you guys? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm good. If they got teeth, I'm good. If they look like a raptor, I'm extra good. Those fly. They can fly. And they move really fast. And they blink weird. They blink weird. They blink weird. The intensity of their I can't. No. I'm getting traumatized thinking of it. I'm good. Card number 7, Legacy of Light. Allowing yourself to live up to the legacy that is already embedded within you, within your blood, within your genetics. Card number 8, be the hunter, not the hunted. See what I'm saying? I need to carry a BB gun with me. Just one pump. It's probably not going to kill it. It'll hurt it. Hopefully it will just deflect. I mean, I don't know. What would I use? Like a slingshot? A slingshot with a rubber. I don't want to actually kill it, but they scare me for real. I'm good off that. Especially roadrunners. I'm good off that. I'm the kind of girl where if I go into a lake that has fish, guess where the fish are going? I'm good off that too. I'm good off that. I tell them I'm not their friend. I don't think they speak the same language. I try and send it telepathically, like we're not friends. Don't look at me. Stop looking at me. And then that's when they come running to me. I don't know if maybe my dyslexia kicks in. I was trimming the bushes yesterday, right? I was using an electric hedge trimmer. And I wanted to protect my eyes, so I was wearing my husband's sunglasses. And, he's told me for years that I'm colorblind in some way. I'm like, no, only men are colorblind. And I was using the electric hedge trimmer, and it was attached to a bright orange extension cord. And he was watching me use it. And then we just saw a large spark. That wasn't part of the branch. I hedge trimmed the electrical cord. And my husband's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, oops." And he goes, "You didn't see that?" I didn't. I thought it was part of the bush. He goes, "It's bright orange." It looked brown to me. Oh, shit. It looked brown to me. I don't know. He's like, I did. I cut the cord. I don't know why he lets me touch that kind of stuff. I could have hurt myself. So people, you guys, I don't know. I cut the cord. And then he was like, "No, that's done. Nope, no more. That's it. You can't use it now. You broke it." I'm like, Do you have a machete? Do you have a machete? I'm going to finish what I was doing. I don't know if I can actually get shocked because I've actually, when I was maybe 4 years old, I did get electrocuted by the house. I was playing with the owl. There was a banana clip, a banana plug thingy, the multiple, and it was plugged in. and there was an owl nightlight because we were having a sleepover at my grandma's house with my cousins, and the lights were turned off, and it was the nightlight, and my grandma was in the next room or in the living room, and she had told us, like, if we don't go to sleep, me and my cousins who are like my age, if we don't go to sleep, she was gonna beat us with a rose bush. She had a big stick that had thorns on it from the rose bush. And she said she was going to beat us with that if we didn't go to sleep. And I was just like, oh my God. So I couldn't sleep. And I just kept pulling the owl nightlight out and putting it in, pulling it out and putting it in. And the last time I did it, I didn't realize my little fingers were touching the prongs. And I put it in. And then I just saw this like maybe 2-second sustained bright light. And then I was like, oh no. And I let it go. And she goes, what are you guys doing? I was like, I'm not saying shit. I'm going to fucking pretend I'm sleeping because I don't want to get beat with a rose bush. Nothing happened. There was no singe marks on my fingers. None of my hair stood up. It was literally like an arc of light for maybe like 2 seconds because she thought we turned on the light in the living room. It was from my fingers. It was from my fingers. And I was talking to an electrician friend of mine a couple years ago, and I was telling her about it. And she's like, what the fuck? How are you alive? She goes, what year was this? Like early 80s? Oh my fucking God. How are you alive? Was that bad? What is that bad? Like, seriously, are any of you like familiar with electricity? Should I have died? Because I watched this, well, like one Discovery Channel thing of like horrible things that happened. And there were 2 electricians, and one guy didn't know he was stepping in a puddle or something like that. And so he unscrewed something. He didn't realize the power was off. And the other guy, he got electrocuted, and they said all your muscles tense up. And so his coworker had to grab onto the bar at the top, like an exhaust bar or something like that, and kick him. And they both got electrocuted when he kicked them, even though he wasn't on the ground. And and I was like, oh, but I let go of the, like, I wasn't shocked. I was just like, oh, because my grandma yelled. And then so I let it go. I remember distinctly letting it go, like, oh God, she's gonna know I'm awake, because everyone else was asleep. Yeah, no one knew that happened because I was not gonna snitch on myself. Are you kidding me? Be the hunter, not the hunted. Allowing yourself to kind of exert some sort of control over your field. Yeah, my friend was saying, like, in the 80s, the way the circuit breakers and everything were designed back then, excuse me, I should have died. I'm just unfuckwithable. Yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't think it was a big deal. I literally was able to still, like, consciously decide to let go of the owl. It was an owl nightlight. When I let go of the owl, I was able to open my hands, and then even pushed it away from me. Like nothing happened. But they say that if you experience like an electrical event before you're around 12 years old, that activates and dilates the pathways, the etheric pathways that are used for highly elevated clair, all your clairs. I don't know. Card number 44, Visions of Life Beyond Death. The only vision I had was like, she gonna beat my ass with that rose bush stick. Yeah, like the movie Powder. I related to that so deeply. Like, and there's times where I don't like being outdoors if it's inclement weather because I can feel like, and I can feel lightning's gonna hit near me. I'm just like, I'm good. Let me stay where I'm covered. I'm so good off that. Yeah. Huh. I don't want to be hit by lightning. I think that might inconvenience me. That might hurt. I'm pretty sure that would hurt. When I was in Vegas, it was 4th of July, and we were we were setting off fireworks and stuff, and I distinctly remember we had finished all our fireworks, and I was like, something's coming. There's like, I can feel there's, oh, hell no. And I took off running. I took off running because I was in the driveway, like towards the street, like right by the street. I took off running to the overhang. It's like a covered walkway. And as soon as I took off running and I turned around to look at the street because I freaked out and I was like, what the fuck am I freaking out for? Um, Lightning hit at the end of the driveway. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, no, it lit up the whole street. All the car alarms went off. I was like, fucking shit. That would have hurt. That might have been a hospital stay. That's fucked. I'm so glad I ran. Card number 2, inner trust. Trusting yourself to know exactly what you need when you need it. Card number 18, spirals of manifestation. Knowing that you're manifesting all the things that, you're needing to manifest for yourself, all of the things that are experiences, connections, opportunities, potentialities. You are consciously manifesting that for yourself with everything that you fixate on with your thoughts. Don't thunderstorms happen usually after fireworks? I've seen that pattern happening a lot. It might be because of, like, I don't know, this might be bullshit, but particle friction in the air, particle excitation. Like when you excite, Michael says stop. Card number 13, power of attraction. Like I said, attracting to you the very things that you need, from connections to whatever. Now, obviously, this ties into this again, this masculine energy. That's fine. That can forever be present. That's okay. What do you feel? What do you feel? What do you feel about yourself in your life? Do you feel the ways in which your existence carries a gravity? Like the gravity of you is what helps to keep some others attached to this lifetime and this earth, and that's not always a bad thing. Um, it's not always a good thing, but it's not necessarily intrinsically bad. Sometimes you're the reason someone else exists. Oh, sometimes you're the reason why someone else chooses to incarnate during this lifetime, either before you or after you. So, card number 10, releasing allegiances. Allowing yourself to release any sense of obligation that you have towards anyone outside of your children. Okay? You have zero obligations to other people outside of your children. You have obligations to your children. For some, that obligation is to stay away and not be present in their life. For others, that obligation is to be fully present for every moment. And for even more others, it's some midway point between the two. Okay? You need to allow yourself to come to life. Allowing yourself to fully come to life and just recognizing where you are, this recognition of where you are within your life, and maybe some of the things that you need to consider. That's important. Card number 1, after the storm. There's a storm coming. Ooh, that's powerful. Activated blu-rays are not magnetic, they're electric. Their energy is electric. So we're all on a soul journey. We're all on a soul journey, and we need to allow ourselves to progress and enter into the realm of potentialities that our soul is asking us to enter into. Michael says to further explain, Blu-rays are an electric type of dynamic being. Storms oftentimes carry, electric charge because of the rubbing together of particles. That's, when it's overly charged, it needs to be detonated, released, sent back down to the earth. That's what lightning is. and then thunder is the audible portion of that frequency detonation, aerial detonation of frequency. So with that, the Blu-rays are the storm. Right now they're hidden. The clouds represent their state of hiding, current hiding. That's okay. That's okay. You mean energetically, Queen of Hearts? If that's what you're wanting to do energetically, the certification program, it's unlike any other program. I don't know that I want to share why it's unlike any other program, but you can reach levels of frequency that are so high they go down to core program, core template codes. I don't know any other modality of energy work that can do that. As of right now, there's no other. And, Reiki uses dimensional levels 1, 2, and 3 frequencies, harmonic universe 1 frequencies. That's 1, 2, and 3. It's a 15-dimensional system. We live in a matrix with 15 levels. My system starting point, like from the first time you harness the energy, 12th dimensional. And it just goes higher from there. So that makes it very, very different. Very, very different. Yeah, with what you shared about, things that are going on in your private life in the other live stream, you probably should consider it. That might be a really important thing for you, especially with what you shared. Card number 27, intuition sigil. Allowing your intuition to better guide you as you get these blips, these senses, urges. Okay. When you're trying to understand what your soul is trying to communicate, you use your intuition. Card number 34, Arcturian activation. Allowing yourself to self-heal. It's so important. Self-healing is important. Having someone help you to heal is also important if you need the help. But self-healing is so important. If you don't add your part to your healing process, you can very easily and unknowingly create a codependency with someone else, which will further disempower you. This sense that someone else is healing you, it disempowers you. It really, really does. You have to do your part so you can understand you are part of your self-healing process. Someone is assisting your self-healing. They're not healing you. They are assisting you. They're helping you. Okay? That's why it's so important. Card number 45, awaken gnosis. Allowing yourself to awaken, allowing yourself to see, to know, to sense, to hear, to feel. Just letting your letting your faith and your hope ripen into a fruit of knowing. Knowing. Like, I don't know how I know. I just know. You know what I mean? I just know. Card number 46, return. Return back to the throne room of your heart. That's your rightful place. That's where you belong. You belong in the throne room of your heart. You are the royal of your life. Allow yourself. Allow yourself. Just allow. You don't have to try. You don't have to do. You just have to get out of your own way. And one of the most powerful things I ever had a friend tell me, she was doing a QHHT session on me. And she knew I had issues with control. I have fear. I have trust struggles. She knew that I trusted her. And I was like, well, what if I can't like let go of enough control to allow you to do what you need to do to help me during the session? I don't want to waste your time. And she told me I didn't need to completely leave. I didn't need to leave that door wide open. I could still stand in the doorway to reassure myself, but to just kind of scoot over just a little bit, just a slight tilt so that there's room for things to flow. And the more comfortable I became, that I would learn to kind of turn more and turn more until finally I just get out of my own way, you know, needing to get out of my own way because my soul, your soul, our souls, they know what to do. And what complicates things for whoever is asking, well, if my soul knows what to do, why does everything end up messed up? Because you keep interfering. You keep convincing yourself you know better than your soul when you need to let your soul guide. And then when your soul is letting you take the lead, you keep convincing yourself that you're crazy. You imagine this, it's not really real. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, that makes no sense. When you're supposed to lead, you say you can't lead. And when you're being led, you say, no, I'm leading. That's just, no, that's not how it works. And that's why we create more struggles for ourselves. That is how we hurt our progress, derail ourselves. Growth, your growth is assured. Does the infant need to focus on their growth in order to grow? Or do they just exist and allow themselves to be present and curious and explore? And through that curiosity and presence, they grow intellectually, emotionally, physically. Maybe growth happens when you become curious and you begin to explore your own auric field. Maybe. And this concept, let me tell you something profound, okay? People often say, like, oh, you're so asleep. You're still asleep. I'm awake. I'm woke. My aunt, one of my most favorite people in the world, she's like a second mother to me. And when all of my little cousins were being born and they were babies, and you know, me and my cousins, we would babysit quite a bit the babies. And I remember her kids. She had two kids. My cousin, that's her son. He's a little bit of a bugaboo. We were like 12, 13, something like that. So, you know, it's like we're still kids ourselves. But he's a little bit of a bugaboo. And he used to want to wake up the babies. And he would get really mad. She would tell us, you are not allowed to wake up the baby because when the baby sleeps, that's when the baby grows. That's when the brain develops. That's when the baby has the opportunity to repair the parts of its body that need to be repaired. That is the most important time to allow the sleeping baby to sleep. Ooh. Ooh. So tell me again, what's wrong about being asleep? When you are in the infancy of your soul, you should be allowed to rest. You should be allowed to have that time of lack of awareness so that you can further develop your brain, you can further develop your body, your senses, your perceptions, heal yourself. There's nothing necessarily wrong about being asleep. There is something wrong about someone trying to abruptly wake you from your slumber. No one sleeps forever. No one. No one sleeps forever. But boy, oh boy, when people wake you from your sleep, like abruptly, how do you feel about that? You get mad? I remember years ago, one of my toddlers, first time in a while that I was able to take a nap during the day. Like I just was exhausted, so I conked out. And we were watching a show, middle of the afternoon, and I fell asleep. And he woke me up by shaking me. He's a toddler, one of my toddlers. Mommy, mommy, mommy. And I was like, oh, what? Is everyone okay? And I was scared because I was like, maybe this is the day where one of my kids does some crazy shit while I'm sleeping. Because my kids have never done crazy shit. They don't write on walls. They don't do any of that crazy shit. When the adult that's watching them is sleeping, they just mind their own business. They quietly entertain themselves. They don't leave the room, do crazy shit, make, pepper bombs or anything like that. No, they don't do any of that shit. So I thought this might be the day where one of them decided to be a normal kid and do one of that things. And you know what he said to me? I was so pissed. Mommy, wake up. You fell asleep. Good fucking God. He woke me up because he noticed I fell asleep. Whoa. Thank you. Thank you for, I didn't realize I fell asleep. Thanks. Like he literally was like, mommy, wake up. Mommy. What's wrong? You fell asleep. I want to cry thinking about that. I was so sad. And I was like, there's no emergency. And my eyes are burning because that's how tired I was. And he's like, no, you fell asleep. I'm tired. I'm tired. You want to nap with me? Yeah. Yeah. Amen, Queen of Hearts. Interference, Sejal. Interfering in someone else's process, regardless of whether you're aware, more aware than them or not, is not good. Interference is interference. People have their own timeline, they have their own process. Respect it. That includes the twin stuff. Respect it. Respect it. Story of our lives. Sometimes we don't understand why people don't respect us in our boundaries. And sometimes that thing we don't understand regarding respecting our boundaries, honoring us, it's actually a projection of what we do to other people. Even for your children, there's a thing as being overly involved. There is that thing. My children are aware. If you make me feel like you're hiding things from me, I'm going to be overly involved. If I feel like you are sharing with me things that need to be shared, if I feel like I can talk to you about certain, tough topics and you can actually hear what I'm saying and consider it, then you have your privacy, all of that. But the moment you make me feel like you're keeping secrets from me, I'm going to be up in your space. Because if I'm giving you the space, the autonomy, and you're still doing that, there's some shady shit going on. And I need to do my part as a parent. But time and time again, I see good parents who are far too involved to the point where they are telling their kids who how to be. You guys have to listen to this. Let me see if I can find it. This is important. Let me find it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Think about it every night and day. I spread my wings and fly away. Where is it at? Where is it at? I might have sent it to. I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it. It's this guy. He's kind of like a guidance counselor for kids who are difficult to parent. And he's just so cutthroat in his delivery of truth. Is like, you wonder why your kids are not motivated, why they just play video games all day. They won't take out the trash. They won't listen to you. They won't even, they won't acknowledge your presence and the fact that you're their parent. And maybe it's because you keep projecting all of your failures and expectations on these children, telling them to be who you say they should be, failing to realize they're their own person and they have to make their own decisions, set their own goals. Sometimes the parent is the issue. So when you apply this to yourself and to your internal journey, your spiritual journey, you as you are right now are the parent to your inner child. You are the parent of your inner child. Are you simply encouraging and holding space for that child to come through, to come out, blossom, show who they are? A lot of why I couldn't allow myself to truly be who I am was because I was overly parenting myself. For a short period, for sure, the entirety of my oldest son's toddlerhood, that was a helicopter parent. Helicopter parent. And I'm seeing the devastating effects of that. I'm very ashamed of how I negatively impacted his life as an adult. I'm taking the steps to correct it, to reestablish that he doesn't have to impress me, that it's okay for me to not agree. It's okay for me to be disappointed. I'm going to have to work through that because he has to be who he is, and I cannot project myself and my expectations on him. But I see often where there's conversations that we have, and it's almost like I can sense it's this tangible thing of he's seeking validation from me. He's seeking approval. And I'm like, son, you decide for yourself. You're an adult now. Doesn't matter what I think. Okay? You're a good person. You're very responsible. You excel at everything you do. You're going to be good at anything and everything you do, no matter what it is you pick for your career. You will excel at everything and anything that you do. I believe in you. I believe in you. A couple years ago, because he's a producer, he's a sound engineer. God, the volume. Oh my God. Because sometimes he needs to hear it on speakers, not on headphones. He needs to understand some of the nuances that you can't quite if it's just headphones. And so he asked for speakers. I think he calls them monitors, and they're fucking huge. And I was live streaming, and at the house that we were at, the live stream room was unfortunately right above his bedroom. And I remember one day I was going to live stream, and it was so loud, all of my things were shaking. Crystals and everything. Like, it sounded like this. I was like, okay, I done had enough. I had enough. And then I had to remind myself, like, listen, this is his dream. Support him even when it's not convenient for you. This is his dream. It's not convenient for you. Live stream in a different room. He's in his bedroom. He's in his sacred space. Live stream in a different room if you have to live stream. And that was that. Yeah, it was inconvenient for me. And one time I felt really bad because I thought he was on the phone. Yes, email it to me. Email it to me, Tanisha. So, I'm live streaming. Again, on top of his room, and I thought he was messing around with his friends on the phone because all I heard was, yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm like, I fucking had it. I called him. Hey, can you quit fucking around? I'm live streaming. Can you quit fucking around? He goes, oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't know you were live streaming. I felt horrible. I still feel brokenhearted about it. The way I approached it was just horrible. I thought he was just on the phone with his friend fucking around. He was doing the ad libs for a song. To this day, I still apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought you were fucking around on the phone. I did get him sound foam. It's just too loud. It's just too loud. He literally has like enough sound foam for a fucking studio. I'm like, layer it up, son. Layer it up. He's like, okay. He has sound foam. He has all the things he needs. Gauge. This is hard to ask, but metaphysically, what's the best way to get a drug addiction out of your life? I ask because I respect your healing techniques. Is that something you offer or help with? Depending on what I could help. I have helped before. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want yourself back? When you want yourself back so badly that you're willing to do anything and everything to get back home to yourself, whoever this is, if it's for you, it's for your family, reach out. It would probably be good to consider the self and soul coaching. I have helped quite a few people with serious addictions, opiates, barbiturates, like serious addictions. But it has to be something that I'm only helping with. If we can't reestablish connectivity with someone in your life, at least one person, you will continue, and speaking in general terms here, you will continue to seek out the thing that doesn't judge you, which is the very thing that numbs you from the pain of lack of connectivity. I personally don't believe addiction is a disease. I believe it's a sadness, an expression of sadness so profound, and a loneliness so all-consuming. It's absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. You just have to be willing to travel through the valley of the shadow of your metaphoric death. It's a difficult journey. It is. It's not impossible. It's definitely not impossible. Okay. If that's something you're really serious about and interested in, I would definitely consider the self and soul coaching option. Oh, and I didn't tell you guys, I now made that available. There are so many different options, even for people who are parents needing to maybe just have a session with me to better understand your child and some techniques. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a social worker. I'm not any of those things. I'm a soul guide. I very deeply understand children, and for most adults who have addiction struggles, um, it has to do with that inner child. It has to do with a fracturing, that feeling of zero anchoring. Um, it's the most profound expression of such a deep sadness. And I tell you, for the people who have those who struggle with addiction in their families, um, I understand what you've been through because of their struggle. But understand, any inconvenience, any disappointment is nothing compared to the pain that your perception causes this person. It further amplifies the pain that already exists that they are trying to self-medicate. It's hard. It's hard. It's definitely a hard thing, but when you want yourself back enough, when you'll stop at nothing to get back home to yourself, then nothing can stop you from coming home. That's the reality of addiction. You got to feel safe at home first. You have to feel seen. You have to feel heard. You have to be in the presence of someone who actually understands to the core the things that you can't express to other people. Why am I able to successfully help those who have that struggle? Because I'm able to see, feel, know the things you can't tell other people. And I'm not interested in judging you, condemning you, or any of that. Like, that's not any of my concern to classify you as this or that. I simply hold space with you and I help you better understand yourself. Yeah. And yes, Moonrock, it's amazing and ridiculously powerful and a huge indication of the potentiality of success. The fact that you act on a public forum is huge. That's huge. People, like, what I don't understand is people who've never struggled with addiction. Whatever made you think people want to be an addict? Like, that's not someone aspires to be. You know what I mean? There's so much stigma to it. Who would choose to be that? Like, that's their goal? Have a little bit of compassion for these people who are hurting so badly that there's no other human being that creates a safe space for them to express, to vent, to be recognized, to be validated. No one has a goal, a life dream of being an addict. Once we understand that, we'll begin understanding how our behaviors feed the addiction monster. They're crying out for help. So many people who don't have the courage to come and ask for help, they're crying out for help. And if you think substance is the only thing that you can be addicted to, how many of us shop uncontrollably? You're in so much debt. How many of us are addicted to getting our nails done, our hair done, facials, makeup? Addiction comes in so many different forms, you guys. Just because you have the form of addiction that's not stigmatized does not mean you are not an addict. It doesn't. And when we see it in that way, when we frame it in that way, we begin to understand they're really not that different from us. They're really not. Their pain is probably just more profound, more deep. But here's the thing, Gage. The kind of pain that an addict experiences is the type of pain that's a prerequisite for a healer. You just have to be willing to birth yourself. rebirth yourself as a healer that you were designed to be. I know the depth of pain it takes to be the type of healer you're probably going to be, Gage. I know that depth of pain. It's the same type of prerequisite that I had to suffer through in order for me to understand the gravity of my life and my purpose. I hope this is the first step for you. I really, truly do. I feel like you're almost there. There's a part of you that's still waiting for people in your family to validate you and to encourage you to do this. I don't know if they're able to. You don't need their validation to walk the path of the shaman. Yeah. The pain that a shaman feels, the wounds that are inflicted on the shaman's spiritual skin, that's the very impetus for their medicine to be created within them. Gage, your soul has a message for you. There's another human that exists as a reflection of you, waiting for you to reach the other side of this so you can help guide them through their own path. Everything that you've been through in the past few years, someone else is going through that right now. They don't know you exist yet. You have to first travel through your own valleys to get through to the other side so that you can be properly prepared to assist them in the way you need assistance right now. You're being trained firsthand in how you're going to help other people. Of all the people in the world that you could have reached out to, why me? Because your purpose, your suffering, and the purpose that it helps to support, to bring into fruition, it's on the level of profoundness that my purpose exists at. It doesn't make us better, it just makes us better suited to serve. And what a better way to be trained for your purpose than to live through it. The wounded healers are the most powerful ones. They learn their medicine not from books, but from their own pain. You feel me because I feel you too. And if I can get through any struggle I've had in my life, and there's been quite a bit, there's no reason you can't. None. No reason that you can't. None. If you see me as real, it's because you are seeking real connection. If you are seeking real connection, it's because you're ready to truly connect. And sometimes we have to just be okay with the knowing that our true family is not biologically related to us. That sometimes we find our family on a live stream randomly talking about roadrunners. Sometimes we are so this weighs so heavily on my heart. This is a type of subject matter that weighs so heavily on my heart because I took so many years where I slowly cultivated myself. Rather than allowing the process to happen organically, I slowed it down. I slowed it down so much. Because I could, not because it was necessary, but because I could. Because I found a way to avoid by slowing down the process. With a knowing that no matter what, at some point, I won't be able to stop what is my rightful destiny. And it weighs so heavily on me because it's always this thing in the back of my mind as I'm starting to blossom a little bit. In the grand scheme of things, what you guys have witnessed from me is just the start of a bud growing. It's not even blossoming yet. But the profoundness of the effect of the witnessing of me being myself, and how many of you have waited, not knowing you were waiting for me to simply witness me, not knowing, and how many of you suffered and struggled as you waited for this unknown thing that would help you make sense of the pieces you already held. And you should never be sorry, Gage, because you're providing me an opportunity to further ripen and deepen this healing process that I'm going through for myself, where it's like I can't say to you, like, you need to take the time that you need to take, and there are people waiting, but you need to focus on you and your process first. And I can't say that without realizing how unfair of an expectation I've set for myself in regards to how I fit into other people's lives. So what I'm saying in a roundabout way is, Gage, you've already started your process of helping other people heal. Right here, right now, starting with me. We never understand how our connections help others to heal on such a deep level by simply being present. This space that we share together is so beyond profound. It's almost like when we share this space, it's like we enter the heart of creation and are allowed to just flow. Knowing the opening and closing of ventricles is not the shutting of doorways and the loss of opportunities, but instead the promise of another flow, another push forward, another circulation through the system. Knowing we're doing our part by simply flowing. Do red blood cells have to do anything outside of flow? No. In their flow, they serve their purpose. They transport what needs to be transported. And that's what we are. The wounded healers of this world are the lifeblood of creation. We flow. We flow. So flow. You can still stand in that doorway, but you also need to make sure. Tilt your hip just a little bit so a little more flow can go through. And as you observe that, you can begin witnessing it's safe. The flow won't hurt anyone. In fact, it actually helps. There's something ridiculously beautiful about allowing yourself to just be who you are without understanding why you need to be. Just allowing yourself to be who you are without understanding why you need to be you. If you had asked me even 4 years ago, if I thought I could create a space on YouTube of all places that would feel so sacred, that people would see it as church, the true sense of the word church, not this physical building where strangers gather in order to have bread and wine, but the true sense of the church, this heart space where we can flow and be and coexist, I would have said that's bullshit. There's no way. There's no way. If you asked me in 2016 if I thought I would be live streaming for work, if I would be anything outside of very hidden away and only with my children and husband, I said, no way. No way at all. No, never. Never. Like, why would I do that? Why would I talk? That's crazy. Who the fuck would listen? Thank you, Gage. The parts that are hard to hear are the parts that are tearing down the preconceived notions that have served as the walls to your psychological, emotional, and spiritual prison. This is an internal structure. And sometimes the structures are so fortified by our pain that when truth trickles in like droplets from a little stream, it feels like the crashing of tsunamis with every droplet. Let it break apart. Don't worry about what can be salvaged. All of you is salvageable. You don't have to be saved from yourself. You just have to deconstruct the way you see who you are, because the way you see who you are is through the eyes of people who don't understand the gravity and the price of learning to be a healer. It is a very, very lonely path. Even when so many people are present. Because unless you're a healer as well, unless that's your purpose, no one understands how many times your life ripped you apart so you can learn how to suit your people back together. It's a pain no one else knows unless they're a healer as well. And I'm not talking about self-identification as a healer. I'm talking about your true divine destiny to heal and help others heal. No one understands that level of pain. And it's not because I'm sensitive. I'm one of the most fortified, most powerful people you will ever come across. And I realize holding myself together and not allowing myself to express and share in such a vulnerable way is robbing you of the opportunity to be able to see there is power in vulnerability. There is power in softness. The goal is not to be powerful through rigidity. The goal is to become so flexibly strong that even your life can't bend you out of shape. You are formless. You are limitless. You are an expression of divine truth that when experienced by those who are hurting, they become whole by simply being in your presence. And how does this happen? Because they understand you've been broken in ways that are far worse than the ways in which they have been broken. And if you can still be an expression of goodness, of love, they can too. They can too. You don't have to try to get stronger. You have to try to stop convincing yourself you aren't already as strong as you are. You're not in the process of becoming something. You're in the process of deconstructing the goggles that were placed on your eyes that convinced you you're something other than what you actually are. And just because you haven't recognized who you are this entire time does not mean you're any less of who you actually are, who you've been. You're simply in the process of allowing yourself to accept this is what you have always been. This is who you have always been. It goes far beyond any pathology a psychologist, a counselor, a doctor will try and convince you you have. Addiction is not a disease. It is a self-destructive coping mechanism that allows for the most gifted of healers to survive this life. It gives you the ability to cope. It's not a disease, not in my eyes. It's not pathology. It's an internalization of the fracturing and pain and disease of the world. And a deep understanding of that causes you to fractionate yourself to the degree that you need to medicate yourself in order to be able to continue to allow yourself to breathe. Because when you exist in a world where the truth is not spoken regularly, it's like the breath is taken from your lungs. I'm not making excuses for people who have addiction struggles. I'm not trying to explain away how those struggles have affected people in their family. I'm simply holding space, saying I understand, saying I see you, I feel you, I hear you, you're valid, you're needed. That's it. It's not all or nothing. I can't be just all for support of people who have struggles and completely disregard how those struggles have affected their loved ones. But I also can't be all for support of people who have struggled because their loved ones have this struggle. Like there's this beautiful middle point where we can see everyone has hurt. Everyone is hurting. We just have different ways of using different bandages to slow the bleeding. Everyone is hurt. And everyone is hurting. Everyone is asking for permission to have that selfishness, to be important for once, failing to realize we're all important. All of us, all of the ways we experience the different things that happen in life, it hurts us and heals us all at the same time. But what will we focus on? The hurt or the healing? Because sometimes the hurt is evidence of the healing. For people who wonder why I've been, so emotional on live streams and I've been crying, quite frequently, because of based on what they feel comfortable witnessing, because it's uncomfortable for people who have been conditioned to not feel and not witness, to actually feel, witness, fully experience that full range of human emotion in one space. And right now, it's not tears because I'm having a breakdown. It's tears because I'm recognizing I'm building myself back up. Sometimes the hurt is evidence of the healing. They say it hurts more to heal a broken bone than it does to suffer the initial break. I had an extra tooth in the roof of my mouth when I was a kid. This like little alien projection out the roof of my mouth. trying to hold hands with my front tooth, just like that, right? And I remember I must have been in 3rd or 4th grade. I had oral surgery to remove it. They had to take out part of my skull. Too much bone. They had to remove it. So in order to do that, they had to cut the soft tissue of my soft palate and my hard palate. And they had to take the flap off to expose the tooth. And then they had to hammer through my skull to extract the tooth. It's, it's not unheard of for some children to have extra teeth. I had that process done. And it was painful. The initial first day was painful. I was like in 3rd or 4th grade. I'm over 40 years old. Every now and again, I still feel the pain of that. Every now and again, I feel like I felt on that first day. My roof is completely healed. But every now and again, I need that reminder of the strength I had, even as a child in 3rd or 4th grade. Even as a child, I had that strength. I didn't cry. I didn't complain. That's okay. It's okay if you have to cry. It's okay if you have to complain. But just know, whatever your process is, it's valid. It's valid. And even though you've healed past it, even if it's been an entire lifetime already, sometimes every here and there you still feel the pain. Does that mean I still have an extra tooth? Does that mean I have to still go through that extra procedure of removing an extra tooth? No. It's just a reminder of where I've been, how far I've come, that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Sometimes I wonder if those of us who have a certain type of energetic path develop extra teeth because we need more teeth to digest more of life's lessons. And the people in our families would have us believe that we're weird, we're alien, we're disfigured in some way because we have extra teeth. That if you have extra teeth, like Miley Cyrus did, she had a whole bunch of teeth in her mouth, that, oh, you're a rock biter. It's something aesthetically displeasing. I look at it and I'm like, damn, you could chew a lot. You could chew a lot. You could fucking digest a lot with all of that. Wow. People used to say, like, I have big teeth. It's not that big. It's the proper size for me to eat. It's not that big. And if you have bigger teeth, that means you could take bigger bites. And if you can physically take bigger bites, that means etherically, metaphorically, emotionally, mentally, you can take bigger bites out of problems that face you right here, right now. You're equipped. If this is a life where you're supposed to learn how to digest, process, I mean, maybe that's why you have extra teeth. I'm bendy because this is a life where I have to learn how to be flexibly strong instead of rigid. Maybe this is a life I need to learn elevated self-control. Who knows? And if I'm going to spend my entire life fixating on is that what that means? Is that what that means? I need to find studies. I need to find literature. I need to find theories. How am I really living? I'm not. That's another form of rigidity. That's another form of lack of self-control. So instead, I'm just going to live and I'm going to have hyper mobility in my joints. I'm going to be flexibly strong. I'm going to begin allowing myself to recognize, like, you know what, right now my knees are kind of like, ooh, that's because my quads are too tight. My hamstrings are too tight. It's fucking up the joint. I'm becoming too rigid in my perceptions of certain things. I have to find what I'm becoming too mentally, emotionally rigid with. So when I stretch out my quads and my hammies, they will actually release. When you have a lot of muscle tension, that's you storing that emotion, that unprocessed thought in that muscle. You process that thought. First, locate what that thought is. You process it. I promise you that muscle will release. It will release. Sometimes all by itself. Sometimes you need a little help, but it will release. You have an injury that won't heal. What is that injury telling you about your emotions and your experiences? That is a physical manifestation of an emotional symptomatic presentation. You won't let yourself feel? Your body will then be used to communicate to you. So I used to hate the fact that my third eye is hyperactive. I used to really hate it, like really, really hate it. Very ashamed, very just was bad. It was really, really bad. I used to always get sinus infections. When you wrap toxic energy that's based in toxic self-loathing around your third eye, eventually that toxic energy must drain and it presents as sinus drainage. Why do I not get sinus infections now? Because I'm like, listen, the bitch is open. You don't want me to know you're shady, don't come to me. You don't want me to know you're lying, don't fucking lie to me. I know when you're keeping secrets from me, but I'm not going to ask out of respect for your sovereign right to privacy. But you don't want me to know things, don't fucking come to me. Don't interact with me, don't stand before me, none of that. It's fucking open, there's nothing I can do to close it. Nothing I can do to close it. I've tried. There's nothing I can do to close it. The bitch is open. It's going to stay open. And she doesn't blink. She doesn't blink. And that's just who I am. And that's going to have to be okay. And if it's not okay, I absolutely respect that. Thank you for letting me know. And goodbye. Because telling me to change my third eye, expecting me to change my third eye, is like telling me to change the shape and color of my two human eyes. This is how I was made. And if it is not enough for you, I will not hold it against you for not understanding the gravity of the beauty before you. We're not all at the same level. It's okay. I won't hold it against you. It's not my place to. Oh, wow, Emmie, you're so full of yourself. As I should be. Because I shouldn't be full of the thoughts of other people, the expectations and toxicity of other people, because they're full of other people's toxicity, who are full of other people's toxicity, who are full of other people's toxicity. And we wonder why the world doesn't change. It's like this concept of if you make a soup too salty, you just keep adding more water. It's still going to have the same level of salt in there. You're diluting it a little bit, but it's still full of sodium. When you use products on your skin, it absorbs into you. Your environment absorbs into you. When you layer other people's thoughts, perceptions, and expectations on you, It absorbs into you. When you allow your fear to serve as the armor to protect you from this unsafe world, who doesn't expect anything from you but failure, who doesn't allow you to be who you are, you absorb that into your skin. That's how you internalize toxicity. Sometimes the armor and the walls that we thought help to defend and protect us are the very things that poison us from our growth. We have to be able to hold ourselves accountable and see. Just see. Try to allow yourself to stop trying. I've never been more powerful in my life than when I chose to stop trying. Just stop. I am who I am. I'm always growing. I'm always shifting. I'm always expanding my perceptions. I'm in this eternal cycling in and out of ascension, expansion of awareness, going up and down in dimensional level of consciousness. I'm a dynamic, energetic being, and I have a right and a need to be able to exist in whatever place I exist in at any given moment, whether it's a place of high elevation, whether it's a lower, more dense perception, whether it's proper behavior, improper behavior, joking around, serious, whatever, full spectrum. I have a right to do this for myself. I also have a right to not allow you to be present if you're disturbing my peace. That's also okay. Just like I have to respect your right to receive my words and my actions in whatever way you choose, whether it's beneficial, hilarious, detrimental, not so funny. Like, I have to respect that. And even if I want you here with me, sharing this space with me because your presence makes me feel safe, I have to respect when you choose to walk away because you don't resonate with me. If I'm being too much, if I'm being too emotional, if I'm being too this, too that, and you're not liking it, you have every right to walk away. And it's okay for me to miss you. It's okay for me to not miss you. Life is just okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay for someone to exit your life so someone new can enter. It's okay. It's okay for family dynamics to shift. It's okay. It's okay for us to shift the roles that we play in other people's lives. It's okay. It's just okay. It's okay to be okay, and it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to understand you are a dynamic being and you're not fixed in the way you live, the way you see, the way even you breathe, your heart rate. How could you ever be fixed in your emotion and your stance, your perception, if even your heart and your lungs are not fixed in the way they function? Do you know there are like 4 primary types of waves in the brain? Delta wave, theta wave, even that's not fixed. Does the sun stay in one place? Does the moon stay in one stage, one phase? Does it not wax and wane? Does the beach, where the water meets the shoreline, is that one solid line back and forth like this? Or is there no ebb and flow and a romance between the water and the shore, between the moon and the sun, between the moon and the waters? Do you walk forward with just one foot? Do you walk forward with both feet? Do you skip? Do you run? Do you understand that walking forward in your life is nothing but a series of controlled falls? And you think, oh, I fell again, I'm a failure. No, you're walking. It feels like a failure because you're that aware of the process you are in. You are so hyper focused on it. You don't realize walking is nothing more than the process of a series of controlled falls. Before you lose your balance too much, you put another foot forward. And you're falling forward again, and you put another foot forward and another foot forward and another foot forward. You want to walk forward in your life? Let the falls be what they are, steps to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. Allow yourself to recognize even the most simplest things in your life are profound. You think your exhale is not profound? You think it's just dirty air? Every exhale that you breathe through your entire life are words that are left unspoken. Every inhale that you take is a load of truth that you can use to speak the truth. But when you hold your tongue and you simply exhale, those are words and truths left unspoken, uncovered. And maybe I'm just seeing things in too poetic of a way. I don't know. But I mean, I also do see life as living poetry. Every event is a letter that makes up the words, that make up the sentences, that make up the paragraphs that compose the poetry. What's the difference between poetry and a song? Music. So when you go from the letters to then forming the words, which then you can consciously decide to communicate in sentences and paragraphs, and it becomes this recognition of poetry being written. And then you become comfortable with it and you begin to dance with it and flow with it. And it's a dance of life. It becomes a song, the song of your heart, which was playing the entire time as you were writing the words, but you weren't paying attention because, again, you were so hyper fixated on the words. Part of the reason why I feel my son, who's a music producer and sound technician, why I feel like he's so well prepared for life is that he can isolate the different sounds and bring them together in a beautiful way, a beautiful melody, something just, he knows how to do that. And if he can do that technically, he can do that etherically, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, mentally, everything. Where you can identify the components and know how to beautifully pair them together, how to time it. That's what the soul does. That is what you call life. Being able to pair events and rhythms. That is a song of your heart being created for you. And maybe all we really need is to become aware that the song is already playing, that we've already been dancing to it. We're writing the lyrics. It's coming together. And we don't need to win an award. We just need to be able to sing our heart out, to just sing to the point where everything you were holding in, all those breaths that you exhaled, that you think were wasted, no, they weren't. They were preparing you for this moment where you could finally sing the truth of you. The lyrics of the mind paired with a song of the heart. That's a banger. I gotta get going, guys. I've been live for far too long. If you could please give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. I'm going to be coming live later on today. I haven't decided if I'm going to be doing expedites or if I'm going to have another mini auction for crystals. We shall see. We shall definitely see. I kind of just wanted to update everyone. There've been quite a few people who are asking about several things. I did finally make available my certification program. I'm going to be starting that not too long from now. If you want to learn how to utilize my system in a very deep way, definitely consider the certification program. With a certification program, by the end of level 1, it's a 40-hour program. This is a real deal thing, okay? At the end of that 40-hour program, the skills you will cultivate with me during that program will far exceed every single level of Reiki mastery. You will far exceed that. It's a very serious program. You don't need previous, knowledge, experience, training, or anything like that. You don't need any of that. This is a system that I can teach to children, and I have. Okay? So I also have my self and soul coaching sessions now available. If you're not interested in the energetic portion of the work that I do, if you're needing more of in-depth guidance, maybe you need someone who will help you to better understand the choices you've made, the ramifications of those choices, and how to proceed forward. That would be more of the self and soul coaching sessions. That one does not involve energy work. It involves very in-depth listening, in-depth communication with each other. So that's a very, very powerful type of session as well. Sometimes all we really need is to be heard and to know that the truth of us is being witnessed by someone else, someone who's just as honest and just as real as we know we are deep inside. And once you have that, oh my God, your self-healing journey just takes off. You can do your own energy work to yourself because you're correcting the emotions that lead to the blockages that cause the energetic circumstance. All of it is tied together. All of it is tied together. It's also a very good option for parents who are just exasperated by, the frustrations of raising new children. What qualifies me to help parents with their parenting of new children? I don't have any degrees in any child psychology, family psychology, any of that. Because I was born as a new child. I know what it feels like. And as a parent of new children, I know what you feel like. Finding that beautiful merger point between the two makes me more than well suited to assist you. It makes me perfectly matched. That's the reality of it. I know from my life experience what people cannot learn with their degrees. Unless you were born a new child and are raising a new child, it's going to be very difficult to understand both ends of the spectrum, both sides of that coin. That's okay. That's why I'm saying I'm now open to publicly offering this. I used to not be. Now I am. I can't be there for every single event you have with your child, but I can help you develop a type of understanding where you won't need me to be. Well, you're going to understand. You're growing together. You're growing together. You just need a better understanding and maybe some tips on how to proceed, things you can do, ways you can encourage, techniques you can use to gain better compliance with requests from another sovereign soul in a smaller body. These are powerful. These are powerful. And they have to be powerful because it's time for you to be empowered. It's time for you to step into your rightful place as your own healer, as your own guru, as your own Emmie Nicolina. I don't know why you would want that. She's a little bit combative. To each their own. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me. Gage Hall, thank you for having the courage to share this space with me, allowing yourself to be so ridiculously vulnerable and so witnessed as being ridiculously powerful without even you realizing it. Thank you for providing me this space to kind of further my own self-healing. And I want to leave this with thank you for coming home to us. We're your family. Here, it's okay for you to be who you are, where you are in the moment you're in. This is the kind of family we all look for. This is the family we created together. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing for you guys to realize what we are co-creating together. We are doing this. We. All right, guys, I gotta go. I love you. I'm coming live later today. If you're interested in crystals, if you're interested in energy work, check it out. I should be live around 4:30ish p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Give people time to get off of work. I haven't decided if I'm going to do either one or if I'm going to do both. I don't know. I don't know. I need to eat breakfast. I'll see you guys very, very soon. I love you from the deepest depths of my heart's oceans. I love you. Bye, guys.